Yeah, that is the ultimate. That's the ultimate wish fulfillment. Everybody wants Batman as their dad.
Hey there, Toonami faithful, and welcome back aboard Toonami Absolution, where we talk about the shows that made us us and the shows that made you you. Once again, we are your hosts. My name is Alyx.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John, Batman the Animated Series, episode 13. I've got Batman in my basement. Debut September 30th, 1992, and then episode 14, Heart of Ice, debuted September 7th, 1992.
I really
So
like it alone.
yeah, I think the past couple weeks have always been like, oh man, this episode reminds me of like I've unfavorably compared episodes like The Underdwellers to I've Got Batman in My Basement, and now here we are with I've Got Batman in My Basement.
Batman is in the basement.
Batman is indeed in the basement.
Yeah.
This is also one of those episodes that really reminds me that this show was originally conceived as a Batman Returns tie-in. Because look at
Yes.
that penguin design.
I do like this penguin design a lot. I like the merging of the Burgess Meredith penguin with the Danny DeVito penguin. I also like that he talks like a Ronald Dahl character for some reason.
I mean, it's voiced by Paul Williams, I believe.
So,
So you got that Phantom of the Paradise going for you.
So I really like this penguin. This is probably my favorite penguin design in general. Like his flippery hands and his top hat. I really like it.
yeah, I love his verbiage in this whole episode. When he breaks into the kid's house, he goes, "That's so bourgeois."
And then breaks the thing just like spitefully.
He sounds more offended by that than anything else in this episode. He's like, God, I've broken into a bad house.
Yeah, it isn't so much getting like tied up by like bolas thrown by adolescents. It's that he has to subject himself to suburbia.
Bad
So
interior design.
the basic plot of this episode is that the penguin and his flock of felonious fiends have stolen a very expensive Fabergé egg, which were all the rage in the 90s for some reason. And these kids stumble upon his caper because they are junior detectives, but they also see Batman get gassed and they save him kind of by putting him in the basement, and the 80s bullies come together to help save the day, Home Alone 2 style.
Thank you for bringing that up because one of my big notes from this is like, man, as a kid, cartoons taught me I should think about Fabergé eggs way more than I've ever needed to. There
Yeah,
was
I
a
mean,
period where they were just like everywhere.
Yeah, they were
I,
the thing in the 90s.
it's like it's the Octopussy effect, that kind of hinged on a Fabergé egg. That was kind of the inciting incident there. Um, Everyone's like, "Yo, Roger Moore's really making that Fabergé egg look good. We should the kids demand Fabergé eggs."
They are like incredibly expensive, like status pieces that people have because there's nothing inherently like useful about a Fabergé egg.
Fabergé omelette.
Fair, a nice ruby omelet.
I guess it's because they're also easy to make as a prop, and you can have the act like because you can't do like a painting theft because the actor's got to carry it, and it's going to get all complicated. An egg you can kind of throw.
This is a big Fabergé egg, and it glows too.
It does have like a radium glow to it. I was kind of waiting for Penguin to get ill.
He was gonna moon prism power his way into being a magical girl by holding it for
Sailor
too long.
egg.
Sailor egg.
Shugo Chara is back. uh, yeah. Everyone involved hates this episode. Let's get it out there. Frank Parr says, I think if we hadn't have gotten Alan Burnett to come over, we'd have had a lot more shows like this one. I had to get rid of most of these boards and start from scratch. It was very time consuming. Our schedule was so tight that small things got by. Bruce Timm, being his usual jolly self, I can't even watch that show. It's the epitome of what we don't want to do with Batman. Strangely enough, kids like it. The script came in and it was terrible. Normally, I tell the director to do what he can to make it interesting, and nobody could figure out a way to make it interesting. The storyboard artists didn't care, and it shows. Like,
Damn.
again, this is like when the show is coming out, this interview. So again, Bruce, stop.
Damn, that's so mean. It's so like actually mean to say.
I
Yeah.
desperately want to know if City Fantastique magazine were poking Bruce Timm with a stick throughout the interview, because
It feels that way.
Also, I'm slightly confused by him being like, strange enough, kids like. He's like, really, Bruce? You can't tell why kids would find the episode where kids get to work with Batman and he says they're cool to be fun? Like, the episode isn't the best, but at the same time, that seems like such an yeah, of course kids like it. It's the one where the kids get to role play being Batman.
Like yeah, no, I understand why kids would like it. It's so funny that Bruce Timm talks about it like it punched his mom in the face, you know? Like, that's such a vitriolic response.
Also, I don't think this is the worst. I think Underdwellers is infinitely worse.
I think Underdwellers is worse.
It's between that and The Forgotten. Those are the two.
But you don't Chain Gang Batman. You don't think it's better than Home Alone Batman?
I prefer Home Alone Batman over Chain Gang Batman against Boss Hog, in Batman's Cool Hand Luke adventure. You know.
I also think this episode's kind of important for the series because we see a lot of people encounter adversary and bad situations and go to their darkest self, like Two-Face. Like, we're going to see it with Freeze next. So I think it's cool to have an episode where these kids are confronted with something bad and become their best selves. Like, I don't know, I think it's important to have at least one example where it's like something bad happens and you take Batman's route of becoming better than what you were, not worse.
Yeah, I mean, this is also like, I mean, it's the ultimate wish fulfillment, right? It's like, I've got Batman in my basement.
I can poke him all I want.
Yeah.
The title does sound like an Animaniacs kind of title. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't it have that Freakazoid vibe?
It has a vibe of like a 90s children's pulp book, like a Goosebumps or Choose Your Own Adventure title.
It does have like a choose your own adventure energy. This has to be a choose your own adventure game.
There was a children's storybook which had a little keyboard you can press for sounds that comes with it. I did find a video of it, but it's one where the battery hasn't been changed for many years, so it's a cyber distorted penguin. I can only read it in a Tom Lehrer voice. Like, it sounds like the start of a Tom. I've got Batman in my basement, and I'm keeping him there for the week. Actually, a Flanders and Swan song.
But yeah, this episode feels, in a strange way for a cartoon made in the 90s, very 80s. You know what I mean? Like, the story beats feel very like 80s, like The Sandlot or something. It's very Sandlot.
It could be an episode of G.I. Joe: Real American Hero.
Yeah.
Just swap out Batman with any Joe of choice, and Penguin with any recurring Cobra villain of choice, and that's it. This is it.
Artists, make that happen.
I think it's because we have the 80s bullies, the little girl who dresses like an 80s skater with the baseball cap, and the mom who dresses like it's 1954. Like, she stepped right out of an episode of Leave It to Beaver.
Yes.
This is a very fluffy episode, I would say. This feels like fun fluff. It's like, this is a cotton candy episode.
Yeah,
it's empty calories. It's definitely empty calories.
The highlight of this episode for me was the very end when Batman, well, not near the very end, where the kid asked Batman, "Hey, you single?" because his mom comes in. Is my DVD player crashed when that happened? So I just got, "Hey, Batman, you single?" TV turns off. I was like, like, the mere thought of Batman dating my DVD player rejected.
Get like the Law and Order dun dun.
Yeah, that's the ultimate wish fulfillment. Everybody wants Batman as their dad. If I'm gonna have a second dad, it better be Batman.
Just reminds me of Always Sunny with the Christmas episode. Just Charlie being like, "Did you fuck my mom?" Batman.
Yeah. Santa, did you fuck my mom?
Yeah.
Also,
please fuck my mom, Batman.
I also love Penguin's umbrella, which has like gas grenades. It has a sword in the handle, a knife a blender attachment in the front, which after a while got me questioning, does this umbrella actually function as an umbrella? Because it seems to be more blades than umbrella parts.
I mean, it's like, I mean, that's kind of how the umbrella worked in the live action Batman movie with the Penguin. It was just full of bullshit.
when he pulled the handle off for another knife, I was like, okay, this is just too many knives now.
What's wild to me is that this is the again, Batman Returns tie-in. This is the first time we see the Penguin. Is
Yep.
this fucking shit?
I'm actually I misremembered something. I for some reason I thought that Birds of a Feather was the first Penguin episode. It is not by a long shot, and like I don't know why my brain tricked me into thinking that, but I did.
I mean, he has more substantial stuff to do in Birds
Birds
of
of
a
a Feather
Feather.
was great. It's such a good episode.
Yeah.
Birds of the Feather ends up on loads more of the home media releases as well. This one kind of got the series one, but it doesn't really appear in any of the compilations or the bests, so that's presumably why. Also, in all the marathons, you never see this one.
Yeah, this is another one that's lost for the history books.
Yeah, Birds of Feathers episode 47.
Yeah, it's deep in there. I checked it out for a second there. I was like, damn, I remembered this way sooner.
Yeah, we'll get that with volume 2. But the yeah.
But
This
it's fine.
this it's fine. It's fine.
It's
Not
it's
actively offensive, like
For the
Forgotten.
last 3 or 4 weeks, we've gotten one fantastic episode and shit. Guess what's this week's shit?
Heart of
Yeah.
Ice.
Yeah.
Heart of Ice, an episode that no one has ever talked about ever and nobody knows anything about.
Yeah, that completely rewrote a established Batman villain into a tragic figure.
I'm so excited to talk about Heart of Ice. You have no idea how fucking excited I am to talk about Heart of Ice.
Heart of Ice is great. One of the first ideas produced for the show. Bruce Timm and Paul Dini say they came up with it during a very early brainstorming session before anything was really finalized.
I like
can't. No, please, Alex, this is yours.
No, I like that because for those of you who don't know the history of Mr. Freeze, he did not have a character before this moment in time. The comics, he and Captain Cold were basically interchangeable.
Yeah.
Like they were the same character for the most part. Like nobody really cared about Mr. Freeze. He was just a C-lister villain. This episode is what put this character on the map, and I love this episode because I think that it is one of the best mirror episodes for Batman's own deep grief. Because that's what this whole episode is about what you're doing with the grief you have. And Victor Freeze and Batman are not doing things that are that dissimilar. It's mainly just that Freeze was so focused on this one person as opposed to the actual thing that he is representing as this fake humanitarian. It's so complex. It's so City on the Edge of Forever for me. So I feel a lot about this.
For me, the best Batman villains are personifications of Bruce's fractured psyche, whether it being misplaced senses of justice, duality, the opulence of Penguin kind of taken in a weird way. With this, yeah, it's this kind of like cold-hearted obsession that we get with old Victor Freeze, voiced by Michael Ansara, who was the Klingon commander in Day of the Dove.
There's my Star Trek reference right there, baby.
Yeah.
And apparently, they didn't have a great time recording this with him.
Oh.
Bruce Timm says he was very frustrated because he wanted it very flat with no inflection to be very robotic. And he was like, it sounds so flat. Bruce Timm showed him the Outer Limits episode Nightmare because he wanted him to sound like the Ebonites from that because they're very metallic and ring modulated. But even then, even Bruce Timm says it drove the sound guys crazy, his insistence on this, so yeah. And you'll see after this episode Ansara stops being as hollow, we'll see him sort of get a bit more inflection in later episodes.
I kind of like that. I like this idea that this ruined vengeance almost has to rewire him. I also do like how, again, we're talking about the henchmen. I like that they're basically lab assistants, and I like what we do with the one who gets hit with the ice on his legs and is crawling away, and Batman has to make a big decision in that moment, and he chooses to save that guy, which is that shows the difference between him and Freeze. And I love it, and we're not going to get through us talking about this without me getting a little misty when we get to talking about the ending, so I'm just letting you know now.
And I love that scene also sets up one of the cleverest little gag which becomes a through line, which is that's when Alfred gives Bruce chicken soup. which will later on become the most effective anti-freeze weapon available. But again, I think the idea that, what did Bruce have that Freeze didn't? He had Alfred, someone who was able to both look after him, call him on his shit sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's so good. I mean, I also I can't remember, oh god, the name of the evil corporate guy. What's his name again?
Probably a Lance, because everyone's a Lance.
Everybody's a Lance.
I forgot his name as well. He works at GothCorp, though.
Ferris.
But Ferris, Freeze, and Bruce as like the center three characters of this episode are so interesting structurally, because Victor is the one who was wronged in this. Oh my god, I forgot his name immediately after you said
Ferris?
it.
What?
Like the wheel.
Ferris is the one who he portrays himself as a humanitarian, and then has that conversation with Bruce where he's like, well, when the wage slaves start thinking they own everything, like, this is all a bit. And then you have Bruce not able to keep a lid on what he's thinking about this guy. Like, the revenge does happen, but it happens in like the quote unquote correct manner. But then you have to have that thought of, well, this guy is rich. Nothing is going to keep him in jail. And I think that Batman knows that.
I don't think we ever see Ferris Boyle again in animated series, as opposed to Roland Daggett or the motherfucker with Rupert Thorne.
Yeah.
I like to think that Ferris Boyle, after this incident, had like 5 coronaries and exploded.
I like that.
We never do see him again, so there is a sense like, this guy's done. We're good with this guy.
You got to remember, Bruce knows how to get the ice off his legs, but we never see him do that. And I'm going to presume Commissioner Gordon isn't one for putting his arrestees in chemical baths for 3 days to thaw them out. So those legs are probably gone.
Oh, yeah. Harvey Bullock probably accidentally tripped over them and like shattered them into like 5 million pieces.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's the Batman's fault. I'm Harvey Bullock.
Batman did this. That the Batman did this. Speaking of the Batman, really quick, can we talk about his disguise as the security guard once again being from like the South Bronx? Tell you to take off, so go take off.
Yeah, Kevin Conroy's a New Yorker. He can pull that. He can pull that off.
It's just so funny, like, because Bruce has like no real accent, but then every time he does a character, it's always like Italian guy from the South Bronx.
Yeah.
Hello, fellow workers. What I love is he somehow, in a corridor between the security office and the vault, changes back into the Batman costume with the cape. So that couldn't have been under that security outfit. So he's like got it somewhere, but he was like, I am sneaking around. This is a stealth mission. I should put the Batman suit on anyway.
He has that thing like the Flash does. He has the ring that he pushes it, and the whole costume pops out.
It's funny when Freeze walks in and tries to shoot him again. It probably would have worked better if he'd still been in the disguise, but no, slave to branding.
Listen, the brand is important. That's where the money is. But there's so much good stuff in this episode, and also a lot more frames per second in a lot of parts of this episode. I don't know if you guys noticed that, especially when Batman's sneezing. They're like, he goes from being like 20 frames per second to like 60 in no time at all.
I do like that, we're starting to see because there's been some, like, the Be a Clown episode is still like where I was like, ooh, you guys were like on a budget or on a rush with this one. Like, we're starting to see the quality of the overall animation improve. Thankfully, just in time as the writing starts to get more consistent.
Must be good, because Bruce Timm even says that the storyboard, he didn't have a storyboard team for this. I got Doug Murphy, Phil Norwood, Joe Denton, Mark Wallace, Kurt Gader, and Lorenzo Martinez. I took anyone who had 2 days available, using people from other crews. They had other crews that had downtime. They did a very good job, and I didn't have to change a whole lot. Which normally I'd say, oh, that's quite nice of him, but based on every other interview I've read with him, that's glowing praise.
Yeah.
So either Bruce popped an E, or they were very good.
He can do both. He can do both.
They stopped poking him with a stick for the interview. I do want to talk about some of the way Freeze's dialogue is structured. and that moment he has with Batman, because that's the famous scene where it's the to never know the warm wind on your face, no more warm hands to hold. I would kill for that. And I love that sentiment because there's something about that kind of profound loss, that kind of profound grief that Freeze is representing and feeling, that when you're pushed to that place, like I would kill for that. And I think now in my post widowhood place, right? I understand that sentiment so much more as an adult, and having gone through a sense of profound grief in that way, where it's like, no, I get it. I understand where he's coming from. And when you get him at the end, I'm going to get misty, I swear to God. When we get to the end of the episode and he's holding that beautiful music box with Nora in it and is apologizing and is saying that I'm going to start crying, I swear to God, that I hope that when I see you, that a warm hand waits for me. And I am so struck by that moment every single time. And it's so intense and so profound, and they put it in a goddamn kids cartoon.
I mean, this is the episode where it's been cited before by, I'm sure, Bruce and certainly Paul Dini as his first credited screenplay for the show. But it really is this is the level up episode. I mean, we still get some shit.
Yeah.
Let's be clear, we're still gonna get some shit. I'm looking at some of the stuff we have coming next. I'm like, oh, that's right, Cat in the Claw isn't that great. Oh, that's right, but it's 2 parts, so even worse. Oh, oh, we've got the Prophecy of Doom this season. Okay, all right, fine. But this is really where it levels up.
Okay, and the crap is the downside of syndication. You're making 52 episodes in a go. You'll never, even creators who I think are amazing, I don't think any of them could pull off 52 flawless episodes in one block without at least somewhere's got to give. One of my favourite little bits about this actually is that we never see Nora in this. We only see her as a silhouette in the tube, which I like because we don't know if Freeze is right. Like unlike later on, we're like, oh, she could be saved. Here we don't know. She could just be a brain in that tube. She could be beyond savable. But the whole point is, you have to make the jump to be compassionate, not because Freeze is right in his idea, but because what a Freeze is doing is understandable and helping him through this, which may not be saving Nora, but at least helping that situation is the right thing to do, even if Nora isn't savable.
It's funny watching this after watching Sub-Zero, ain't it?
Yeah, it is interesting watching it after Sub-Zero, which ruins everything. Like,
yeah,
like going into that too, like, you know, we don't get to see Nora. We don't know if she's savable, but we also can see like what Freeze is doing with this rare disease she has. Like, this has the potential to help other people, not just Nora. There was something altruistic in it, even though it does come from that place of profound, no, this is someone I need to save because I love them. And then you get to watch this horrible kleptocracy of corporation destroy not only his life and Nora's life, but potentially the lives of people who could have benefited from that technology because it wasn't making them money. And that is such a profound statement to make in Batman.
I always found it interesting that I mean, you need to do it, I get it, to make Ferris as the clear linked villain that you wouldn't normally otherwise. But I always found it interesting that Ferris himself confronted Freeze in the flashback sequence. You know, it's like, oh, okay, he's getting his hands dirty. Fine.
Yeah, that's more of a personal vendetta kind of thing going on. Which, then again, their security cameras apparently have the ability to do jump cuts.
Yeah,
and close-ups. So
don't they all? It hasn't movies taught me.
Very cinematic security system you have here.
Yeah. It feels so sick that these recordings are done this way, because it makes you get the impression that Ferris has watched this back a couple times. Like, you know what I mean? Like it makes it even closer.
He's hired a cinematographer to and an editor to make this all look great, and
then shot them in the head.
Yeah, that's what he does when he like self-services every evening.
Yeah, like that is the energy of that to me. Maybe I'm a pervert, I don't know, but like that having that snuff film in your desk is crazy.
I think you also need it to draw a comparison between him and Alfred, because I think that's they use Alfred a lot here because how Alfred and Bruce interact is Bruce is Alfred's boss, but Alfred is treated. Bruce listens to him. He takes on his things on board. They have these little conversations. Like the fact that one of my favorite little touches is in the very start of the episode. Alfred comes into Bruce working. He says, "Oh, you're taking up video games now," which Bruce laughs it off. They have a little moment about it. Then, again, we see Ferris in a much, totally snap at Freeze for zero reason. It's like, oh, yeah, this guy's a horrible dick.
So the question is, who's the real villain? No, the villain is Ferris. Like the reality is, at this point in the story, Freeze is only a supervillain for one purpose, and that's to get revenge. And and it's not like he's really hurting anybody outside of Ferris. He's making people uncomfortable and cold, but he's not hurting anyone until we get to Ferris. So Ferris is the villain. Freeze is a victim. But he is a victim that is doing the wrong thing in response to that victimhood. And I think that that's very nuanced and very interesting.
I'm gonna be real with you. The I never liked Freeze's heel turn in Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
I never liked how far gone he was in Batman Beyond. It makes a little more sense in New Batman Adventures when Nora leaves him and he becomes a head, basically a thing head. But I never liked that he went full tilt villain in the Batman Beyond future because it didn't feel quite as consistent.
They do that a couple of times going across these three series, because they'll also have a thing later on with Two-Face where Two-Face wife leaves him.
Which, oh yeah,
did Dini go through a divorce?
No, I think it was just the fact we need to we want the continuity, but we have to reset these characters to zero every sort of 2 years. So fuck.
Yeah, I mean, in the comics, Gilda leaves Harvey. I don't think in the animated series they go as far to be like, Grace married a hockey player. Like,
yeah,
I don't think they like do that like off screen, like, and this is what happened.
I'm also the kind of person I do. Maybe I'm an asshole. I do think Nora needs to stay dead in Freeze's story. I think the only one I liked Nora being alive for was in the Harley Quinn animated series when they did the flip with that. I'm not going to spoil it. It's actually very, very good, and Nora's crash out is fantastic. But
if I remember correctly. Oh no, yeah. See, sorry. Keep going.
No. You go. It's your turn now.
Okay. If I remember, I loved what I remember when Scott Snyder redid Mr. Freeze for the New 52. He made it an unrequited romantic dynamic. Like Nora wasn't even interested in Victor. It's just somebody that he's pining for, which I thought was a fascinating direction to take it in that sense. It makes it more kind of twisted and fucked up, which we love.
It's kind of Pygmalion in that case.
Yeah.
Just starting as human and becoming frozen, not the other way around.
Right.
I admit I'm a sucker for an ice metaphor. I'm a real sucker for it.
Here's the thing. I enjoy Batman and Robin more than I enjoy Batman Forever. And you can hit me with as many rotten fruits or whatever for saying that. But I think a lot of it is because of how goofy Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, it's no longer a sympathetic character at all, even though the story arc is still there. But seeing him just, talk about the Ice Age and stuff like that is bananas.
That is one of those times I think it's only because it's Schwarzenegger. Like, he is, for all of his faults, and my God, he has many, he has surprisingly good comic timing, and that film is just him being like, I can do puns. I can deliver them pretty straight, and it kind of works. And then we have Uma Thurman being like, I'm Poison Ivy, I'm dressed up as a gorilla for some reason. No, I'm never letting that scene go. It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's a weird one. Let's bid on the women, and I have a Bat credit card.
Let's bid on the women, and I have a Bat credit card. Before we wrap about this, I do want to just like take a little moment to just really appreciate the little character arc, because we have Freeze saying, my emotions were frozen. I am frozen and feel nothing. But then the last shot we get of him is him crying. And I love that, because that idea of numbness, because you have something to do, you have to get through this, you have to do this thing to make things right, and then not only does it not come into fruition, but now you are forced to sit with the grief. That is, it's not stated outright that that's what's happening, but that's what's happening. Is Freeze is now forced to sit with it in a way that I don't think he had to before, and that is a humbling experience. And I love that trajectory. It's like crack to me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a depressive fuck, and this is like crack to me.
I think that's why Freeze kind of has an appeal thanks to this episode, because yeah, like you were saying, he's Mr. Zero is basically a Captain Cold knockoff for decades. But I think that's the appeal of Freeze now, that he does kind of represent this kind of cut off, outcast kind of figure that very deliberately tries to make himself emotionally cold, but we get those glimpses and that reminder that we can't be cut off all the time, or that we're not actually truly cut off at all. You know, even as we cheer Batman for beating the shit out of him, or beat the shit out of him ourselves in games like Arkham City, which always feels great.
And man, that takes a minute. That's a hard boss fight.
That's my favorite boss fight in any of the Arkham games.
You're correct. Like, objectively, you are correct. The Scarecrow is a close second, but you are objectively correct.
Scarecrow, you don't like you just navigate his like floating island world.
But it's like a puzzle boss, like the bed of chaos in Dark Souls 1. Like, that's not really a boss fight. That's a puzzle boss. But John, you have something to say before we get into final thoughts.
I like the idea of Scarecrow's floating puzzle world like a tourism poster. Come to Scarecrow's floating puzzle. I see. One thing I
always thought I always love the setups for those, like especially in Asylum, but the actual platforming of it all, I was never particularly fond of.
It is a pain in the ass.
Yeah. You didn't like Bat Mario?
No. If I want Bat Mario, I'll just play Lego Batman.
I was gonna say before we ended, this episode is the ending as well. When we pan out to see Batman watching Freeze, it's one of the only endings we've had which ends silently. Yeah. There's like a 5-second block of silence, which we don't usually get, and it makes the episode. Like, usually we end on a joke, we end on a laugh, we end on a big thing. Here we end very quietly and very subdued. There's no real feeling of victory in this episode.
No, and I think that's accentuated by the score too. I love the leitmotif for Freeze in particular.
But that does mean it's time for some final thoughts. So let's get those final thoughts out there.
Well, like the past couple weeks, we got a baddie and a goodie, and it's though Paul Williams does elevate, I've got Batman in my basement. I'm just glad that one's finally in our rear view window forever and can continue to rot in hell. Whereas Heart of Ice is, it's a huge step forward. And arguably, I mean, it's easily in my top 5, along with Two-Face Part 1 and something we'll be seeing in about 2 weeks. But yeah, it's we're starting to get to the Batman animated series we all know and love. If you haven't considered that we're there yet already.
Batman in My Basement is an episode I will defend a little bit. It is not the strongest Batman episode, but I think this is the worst ever. I think it's overblown. I think it's no worse than other things we've seen. I said I would put it above Forgotten simply because Forgotten is offensive, and it doesn't really touch on the topic it does. This is a silly 80s adventure romp and again, I'm still bemused that Bruce Timm can't see why children would enjoy this. It feels unusual for a man who is very intelligent. But yeah, it's not the worst. But it's certainly not one I would say, if I'm showing someone Batman the Animated Series, we're not starting with I've got Batman in my basement. We're not finishing with it either, we're just ignoring it. Heart of Ice is the classic, it's the one that sort of brings Mr. Freeze back, and it really shows what this show can do. Surprised it's this far in, honestly, in production, or how early the idea was. But we're going to see a lot more of this. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean we are going to see them try and imitate this a few times. It never quite works as well.
Like John and Sam said, like, Batman in My Basement is not the worst episode ever. Like, I do think that Underdwellers and Chain Gang episode are definitely worse. When it comes to Heart of Ice, because I have that relationship, I guess, with this character now, as going through this widowhood process, it is still something that I go back to and I think about. And sometimes when you need a good cry, it's a good one. But I would like to leave the audience with something I found on Twitter, not exactly about this, but revolving around grief, which is, I hope death is like being carried to your bedroom when you were a child and fell asleep on the couch during a family party. And I hope you hear the laughter coming from the next room. I think that that is something that is kind of fits here, because what Freeze wants, honestly, at the end of the day, is the same thing: warm hand that's waiting for him to hold. So, on that cheery note, it is time for us to disembark from Toonami Absolution as we've pulled into our final destination. We want to thank you once again for joining us and talking about the shows that made us us and continue to make us us, and the shows that made you you. Once again, we have been your hosts. My name is Alyx.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John.
And we'll see you next time. Bang.